Okay, so this is conference 10, phase B, the first mountain. And well, much has been said about the past. And let's explain. Our goal here is a synthesis of the whole work of the path to self-realize. This is the great work of the three mountains, which internally they are represented as mountains as an analogy because it resembles the difficulties when you are climbing a mountain. If we reflect on this symbol, we understand how the great work, it is something very similar because as you're climbing, you have more tests and efforts are needed. And many people give up and very few can make it to the top. Okay, so in this work, we decide once we decide to work for ourselves and initiate this path, we are going to recognize this path and see everything clearly if we know beforehand the steps that we need to follow. So this is very useful to have this clear and in detail. So which is the freedom, which is our goal, to have the 100% of our consciousness. So in the first mountain, our goal is to identify the path to be able to ascend, as I said. Once we receive this knowledge and we decide to work and verify for ourselves and become the practitioner, not the believer, and we ascend the fire, ignite the fire, then this is to develop our human soul because we are currently in a state of a rational animal, and we have no soul until we have these five bodies. When we do, then we can acquire the power over the nature and over nature, and this is how we climb the first mountain. The second mountain and the second one are where we finish the work, the great work. So these five centers do not work with their own hydrogen, which is why the human machine is doing poorly. And it is because in the first mountain, it is Genesis of the mountain of birth. The second one is of death, psychological death. Here's where we are going to eliminate the casual eyes or the capital sins. And we began this first by balancing our centers. Like I said, the first five centers do not work properly with their own hydrogen, which is why we are unbalanced. So we know that we have five lower centers and two upper centers. The first four steal energy from the fifth, and that fifth is the sexual center. Therefore, every time one of our centers run out of energy, as to say the intellectual center, if we are overthinking and overuse our mental energy, then that hydrogen is going to take energy from the sexual center, which in turn has to rob energy, steal energy from the other center so it can function. This is why they're all unbalanced and none of them are working properly. And if we do not organize our human machine, this is not going to work. So this is why no one can reach chastity if they don't organize first their human machine. So to make these five centers or cylinders work properly, each one has to use its own energy. So this, when we balance our centers, we can manufacture hydrogen 12, which is that of the sexual center. This is the sexual energy. So once the sexual energy is transmuted, then it turns into C12. So as long as we do not do this work, it is a waste of time because the sexual part is always going to be unbalanced as well as the other centers. Okay. Okay. So the hydrogen 12, it is the hydrogen of sex, like I said, which is through normally sex works, and the C12 is when it's transmuted already through scientific chastity. Okay. So okay, where's my slide? Okay, so here's my slide. Okay, so through the death of those tiny psychic elements, which manifest themselves at every moment, whatever it is lust, hate, revenge, pride, we do not recognize these defects because some of them are very the slight detailed ones that if we do not have a very diligent discipline psycho level or psychological depth, we cannot perceive them, we cannot see them. This is why they slide through us if we are not in self-observation diligently. Okay, so all of these details are the ones who steal and unbalance the sexual energy, and they do not allow a person to reach chastity. And this is why our machine is not working properly on each center. Okay, so one steals from another, one steals from the other, and everyone steals from the sex center because it has the biggest function, which is to create. There are 7 units of energy on the 4 centers, and there is 100 units of energy in the sexual center. So in turn, the sexual center, in order to function also, it also has to steal energy from the other centers, where the human machine then becomes totally unbalanced. The crossing, so this is in a result, it ends up on a crossing of hydrogens, and they do not bring it to balance, but rather continue to feed all of our psychological defects because they're all unbalanced, they feed them, and there is no hope for reaching the path of initiation. So this is why the entire student body is currently working without exception, because no one has done this work as I am indicating here. So whoever wants to balance their human machine must begin to balance with every detail that appears, no matter how tiny it may be, asking the Divine Mother to eliminate them. And this is how we began the work with the equilibrium, balancing our centers. Everything starts with chastity. And to be able to work with chastity, we need to work with the psychological death and the 3 factors of the revolution of consciousness. And so we can turn our Mercury. Our Mercury, first, when we initiate here, our Mercury is black. When we began this work with this, the energy changes. We start seeing changes in our body and in our energy. And the Mercury, we began with the Mercury black. And then we go to white as the second one, and then the third one to yellow. This is where a single person can reach. And then to turn it to red, we need a couple of the opposite sex, a stable partner in chastity, fidelity, and love to do this work of suprasex. And this is the beginning of the work that we have to do. There is no other way to begin the first mountain or esoteric work. So they can search if they want. The work starts here, and nothing. There's no other way. The work, if it hasn't started here, the work has not started. Okay, so here the theories die, and the facts are the ones that move the disciple forward. And trials to enter the initiation. We go through a series of trials, and the first of these trials, the very first one among these tests, the disciple is going to be subjected to. It is the test of the guardian. Here, where he has to face his own beast, which he has created himself over the centuries. And the second one at the trials, at the test of the 4 elements, fire, air, water, and earth, in that following order. So the disciple is going to be submitted to this test. And fire, a test of fire, usually of wrath, anger, or lust. The ones of air, ears are the ones of attachment. The ones water are the ones where we have to adapt. And the ones of earth usually have to do with economic trials. So these are repeated to the student over many times. It doesn't matter if they have passed, we pass them. They are repeated over and over because this is how they give the note. It doesn't matter how many times we pass them. They always struggle because with this test, they give the grade or the note. So these tests are they follow by a series of other tests. They test the pride, the vanity, the lust, hatred, even the little tiny details that we may not think they're trials because they're so small. This is why they're so hard to detect if we do not have uh, a very strong discipline or to be able to detect them. Okay, so this is a continuous discipline that student requires, and it has to give himself daily in order to do well in these tests, which are usually very small, and these are, for that reason, the more difficult to pass. They are, attachment, material goods, family, and they have to be. This is why we have to be very polished to have understood well in depth to be able to do well internally. Otherwise, we are going to lose everything. And here we can get stagnated until further notice, until we correct this. Okay. And okay. And then the ascent of the first mountain, we see that when the hydrogen, no one works without the hydrogen 12, which after transmuting sexual energy is C12. And then here the sacred fire is awakened, and then the first mountain begins to ascend, which are the fire initiations. And this is according to the psychological work, whatever is much or less, this is how the fire is going to ascend more quickly. And this has to do with the merits of the heart. If you want to advance quickly, because this energy, the sacred fire, ascends with the merits of the heart. Okay, so a selfish person, an egoist, takes much longer, up to 3 times longer to ascend the fire, since he is a person who wants everything for himself, and he doesn't teach others. In other words, he doesn't care about humanity. And it is the main thing that the initiate must have, which is love for humanity. Okay, keep in mind that if we want to save ourselves, we must do the work to save others, so they do not fail. So we can be helped. That is called love. The ones that serve to live to serve, as to say. Well, I guess it rhymes in English a little bit. Okay, so the first mountain, the first vertebra, he receives the sword. This is a small sword with a white hilt, which he must put on his belt at once, because then the entire Black Lodge is going to come at him to take it away from him. And this sword is going to have it is a defense tool against the Black Lodge in the first place. That's why they want to take it away. So as the fire rises, the sword is going to lengthen, is going to grow until the incarnate and the innermost is going to then become the flaming sword, the sword of the magical powers, which is the powers over nature. Okay. Okay. Mm, and there are no illusions here because to be made, because the incarnated, when we incarnate the intimate, it will be left with all the wisdom and all the strength, because he is born like any other child and grows and expresses himself through the law of the 7 until he reaches mature age, which are the 42 years. It goes from 7 to 14 to 21 years of age with all of its splendor. And this is how we gain vertebra by vertebra, and the chakras and the churches then are going to be awakened. These are the changes that we are going to see, and the initiate is going to govern the 4 elements of nature, which he ascends until he reaches the 5th of majors and is qualified as an authentic man. The 5th initiation of majors is when the initiate chooses the direct path or the spiral, which is the way of the nirvana, and the path chosen in accordance with the revolution of the consciousness. If he is a passive person, he's going to choose the nirvana or the spiral. If he is a revolutionary person, he is going to choose the direct path, which is a difficult path. And he who chooses the spiral is because he is not interested in liberation. And the spiral is not recommended even to the worst of the enemies, because in this way, liberation is never going to be achieved. So we invite these revolutionaries to reflect and risk everything for everything. So the nirvana and the direct path. The direct path brings trams, payments, and that they're going to hurricanes are going to make us. Or in the spiral path, there are no winds or payments or anything. Okay, so when you choose the direct path, you come to embody the first triad, which is Atman, Buddhi, and Manas. Manas, Atman, and Buddhist. Here we are going remember, we are going to create the causal body, which is first we have to create the physical body, the solar bio body, solar astral body, and the solar mental body to create the causal body, which is manas, and then the two superior forces are going to be incarnated, and they're the initiate of major mysteries. Is going to be is going to be a master of major mysteries, master mysteries of fire. So here we should not confuse the mysteries of fire with the mysteries of the golden initiations, which are completely different of the of fire, the golden fire. So where the three forces are incarnated within the initiate, then he becomes a master. Here he becomes a master, and he has the right, the culmination of that mountain, to go to a round and very beautiful chapel where he is going to take, let's say, a break. He is going to do a meditation, a recount or retrospect of all the work that he has done, so he can prepare him, serve him. I'm sorry, for to renounce all happiness for the next mountain, which is the second mountain. This is a very meticulous work because here is going to get a lot of wisdom for the master to manifest later. And like I said, renounce to the happiness now to start the second mountain. This is why the work is what is going to give us fruit. This is where the work is going to um, this is where the theories and die and the facts are what brings the disciple forward. Okay, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Very well, very well.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Uh, thank you, Carla, Viviana, Walter, I'm sorry que te corté poquito, perdón. Carla y Antonio, Mónica, Monique, ¿quién más entró? Elizabeth, ¿y quién más no veo?
Angelica, don't forget to stop
Oh, yeah, the recording.
Yes.
Oui.
Recording.
No lo sé decir en francés. Oui. I'm going to stop it. A ver, ¿dónde está ya? Oui. Thank you. Thank you.